We're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's January 4th here in Seoul. I'm Shin, and you're watching News Generation. Joining me in the studio is Chiji.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Brooke Prince.
It's great to be back.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. The number of new elementary school students in Korea is expected to drop below 400,000 this year. This is the first time ever this has happened, which reflects how severe the low birth rate is in the country. Experts believe this figure will drop even quicker in the coming years. The number of those who will enter elementary school in the year 2026 is forecast to drop below 300,000. And did you know there's an illness dubbed the kissing disease, where you feel extreme fatigue and nausea after kissing someone? It's actually called the Epstein-Barr virus, EBV for short, or mono. EBV is a member of the herpes virus family. Like other viruses in this group, once you contract it, you always carry it. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has found that 1 out of 4 teens have caught it before. It was most commonly found among those aged between 15 to 24. And lastly, our next story. South Korea's main opposition party leader Lee Jae-myung is still recovering after he was stabbed in the neck by a 67-year-old man who approached him as if he were a fan. While many, including high-profile politicians, called the terror attack a devastating one on South Korea's democracy, some YouTubers and netizens raised conspiracy theories or raised eyebrows as to whether the terror attack was staged or not. Now, most of these suspicions were brought up by right-wing supporters who suspected Lee Jae-myung and his camp to have hired an attacker just before the general elections in April for better approval ratings, and this sheds light as to how polarized South Korea's politics seem to be at the moment. Now, here in the studio, Brooke, it's not the first time we've seen a string of political violence happen in Korea, but what were your thoughts on this, and what do you think about the polarized public sentiment when it comes to politics?
Well, I was extremely shocked by this news, as I think many were. I was just on the show recently talking about safety in Korea and singing its praises, but unfortunately, incidents like these remind us all that there really is no completely safe bubble in the world. There's always the potential, the risk for something like this to happen. So I think what's important is trying to prevent it from happening again. And what I believe needs to happen for that is for us to address the root of the problem, which, like you mentioned, is this polarization when it comes to certain issues. And in my own country, in the US, we've seen political disagreements lead to tons of violence and conflict over the years. So I think what we really need to do is learn how to respect each other's opinions and differences and not allow those differences to escalate into harming another human being.
Exactly, and I think that point really encapsulates what politicians here in the country have been saying. Terror attacks like these that target politicians actually harm democracy. Now, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, the incident itself is definitely very disturbing and serves as a warning about the growing political divide, the hatred it fuels, as well as the extremism it encourages. Now, the recent attack reminded me also of another significant incident involving former President Park Geun-hye.
Right.
So she was also attacked on the face before she became president. She was the first president to be ousted in the country as well. However, that attack was viewed mainly as an isolated outburst of anger by an ex-convict rather than a result of a political disagreement. And as we know, the conflict between Lee Jae-myung and President Yoon Suk-yeol has been a significant factor in the country's political polarization since 2022 because, as we know, Lee lost to Yoon by the narrowest margin during the Korean presidential election. Unfortunately, it appears that this polarization is unlikely to ease anytime soon because the two opposition parties, they're preparing for the upcoming general elections in April. But then we can, however, try to be more mindful of the content we consume online because social media and video platforms have become very influential for spreading news and shaping public opinion in the political arena.
Exactly, and we'll have to keep an eye on how this plays out. Hopefully we don't see as extreme polarization, and even though polarization exists, I don't think violence in any form or matter could be excusable.
Correct.
Now, switching gears to our main discussion, today we're going to explore the ongoing AI revolution and its impact on the job market. As artificial intelligence continues to advance, concerns are rising about job displacement, but some suggest it might also pave the way for new opportunities. My AI voice secretary with more.
The rapid development of AI is expected to automate routine tasks, potentially leading to job losses in certain sectors. But some experts argue that this AI revolution could simultaneously generate new job opportunities in emerging industries. Companies are recognizing the need for a workforce with adaptable skills. As AI takes over routine tasks, human employees can focus on more complex, creative, and emotionally intelligent aspects of their roles. This shift emphasizes the importance of lifelong learning and upskilling.
As you just saw, my AI voice secretary did all the work, so we're already seeing AI revolutionize the job market, which raises questions as to which jobs will be left in 10 years' time. So here in the studio, do you think that your job will be safe? Will it make the cut line even though we see AI advance even more from now?
Well, translators and interpreters are concerned about the advancement of technology in especially speech recognition as well as translation. I mean, we're seeing AI-assisted translation. It's advancing quickly, but it's better, I think, to think of them as assistants rather than replacement. Now, while machine translation can help a professional translator work faster and more accurately, there's no need to worry about replacement, as it won't be possible for several decades, I believe. And interpreting also, on the other hand, is more challenging for AI because AI systems can't understand emotional references like humans can, and there's a lot of emotional involvement in speeches at international conferences. But then professions like professors and broadcasters may also decrease in number due to advancements in technology. For example, Arirang has also recently launched, I believe, a news program hosted by an AI anchor, right? And one advantage of this is that production can be possible even with a limited number of personnel. However, there are also downsides to this, and I'm sure you know, as you've used AI voice for your...
I do think that AI does help us, whether it comes to making tasks more efficient and convenient to do, but there's still a long way to go, and I am very excited to see the development. But it also works as like a motivational force for me to better find out what I should be doing, to have a really positive competition with this AI so I know what my advantages are. And that's what I think. AI shouldn't be substituting us, it should be supplementing us. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think it affects your occupation at the moment, which is an actress?
Well, as an actress, I'm currently working as in a musical here in Korea, and every time we perform, I always hear the audience sniffling during the really emotional, moving parts of the show. And I think the reason why they get so emotional is because we get emotional on stage, and we're able to elicit that from them. It's hard for me to imagine anything AI or computer generated being able to do quite the same thing, particularly on stage. Not to say that CGI generated content can't elicit emotion, but something about connecting with an audience I think is a very purely human thing. And also in terms of fans, so a lot of our lead actors, their fan bases will provide hoodies for us, coffee trucks, food trucks. They're so giving and generous, and I think it's because they feel so connected to the people. And I know I've seen some, AI K-pop groups that are coming up and things like that, but I'm not sure they'll be able to have quite the same passion of the fan bases for real human people. So I do think I'm probably going to be okay with my job. I remember hearing some controversy about background extras being AI. And so I think that might hurt some actors that are just getting their foot in the door. But for speaking roles and stage performers, I think we're going to be okay.
We're going to be all good. So everyone here is going to make the cut line, I guess.
Hopefully.
Now, we asked our viewers the same question, and here's what 3 of them had to share with us when it comes to whether they think their jobs will be replaced. Take a look at the screen to find out. Let's start with MIMS. MIMS said, I think that my job as a secondary school teacher will be here in 10 years, but I think that post-secondary educators could be affected by the rise of asynchronous online courses. Sword Keepsy said, I'm confident my job will be here in the next 10 years since I'm growing vegetables. And since we need to consume less meat, vegetable consumption should increase in the next decade. And Jiawi Ki said, 2 years ago, because of my father, I became a healthcare giver. I think my job would be popular in countries like Japan or Korea, where there's an increasing number of elderly careers required. My kind of job can't be replaced by AI, as it requires support from people to assist elderly or disabled patients. Now, I think this leads us to a good segue as to finding out which jobs we think could benefit from AI, and vice versa, which jobs might be even threaten to the extent that they may become obsolete. Are there any surveys on that?
Right. So recently, Korea Employment Information Service conducted a study of some 10,000 people by occupation regarding their satisfaction with their salary as well as their job stability. And based on this, they released a report on the jobs that will likely increase and decrease in the next decade. Now let's take a look at the screen to find out more. So as you can see, certain occupations will experience job losses in the near future, and among them are fish farmers, craftspeople, university professors, tutors, and lecturers, and also some physician jobs, specifically obstetrics as well as gynecology and pediatrics, are also expected to decrease primarily due to declining birth rates, which will lead to a reduction in demand for these services. Now, on the other hand, there are certain occupations that are expected to experience job growth as well, and they include programmers, delivery workers, soil technicians, and researchers, as well as social workers. Now, this could be attributed to several societal changes, such as rapid development of technology, as well as the worsening environmental pollution, and the increasing life expectancy, and as well as demand for social welfare services as well.
So, Jihi, as you carefully pointed out there does seem to be a change in the job market within the future, the near future, that is. But I also have to point out, I don't think it's necessarily just because of AI technology.
You're right.
It has to do with a lot of societal factors changing and progressing in the future. But as you mentioned, with the increase in jobs, I do think that there will be some occupations that will benefit from the development of AI. So what are your thoughts on this, starting with you?
Well, I think human connection is very important, and it's very natural for jobs to disappear and new ones to appear with the advancement of technology, and as you mentioned, with societal changes. However, like I said, we can prepare ourselves for the future by anticipating some of these changes, and it's highly likely for the manual labor work to be replaced by automation as well as advanced technology. Therefore, skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, I believe, will be in a high demand.
Exactly. With this AI revolution, we may see a job evolution. And your thoughts on that?
Well, based on the survey we heard about, I think there are positive outlooks for many jobs. One job that we haven't gone over yet that I think is kind of a fun one is stand-up comedy.
Right.
So I've been talking about stage performers and how I don't think we're going to be replaced. And I think stand-up comedians also are pretty safe in this regard because when we think of things that are funny, the reason why we find humor in them is because they're relatable, right?
Yeah.
So when a comedian is telling a story, we laugh because we have similar experiences or thoughts or feelings. But I think if you were watching and you knew, well, a computer can't really have that same experience, there's always going to be a sort of disconnect there. So Chi mentioned creativity being in high demand, and I think there's just something so creative about being a comedian or being a performer or doing what we're doing here that I think makes audience favor us more than AI or something computer generated. So again, I think that those kinds of creative fields are probably pretty safe.
And I'd like to shed light on how we're even discussing this now in the year of 2024. We're considering how AI or other societal factors can shake up our career path. That's why we're going to include a fellow Gen Z in our talks to hear what he has to say on the AI revolution, also affecting his career path. Stay tuned for a live interview. We're going to include another Gen Z who's actually considering changing his career path. He's been paying close attention to which jobs are most promising and which are at most risk from the AI revolution. It's Pan Jun-young, a college senior majoring in geography who recently decided to do a double major in business, namely because he didn't see great job prospects with just a geography degree. Welcome, Jun-young.
Hello, thank you for having me, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Now, let me ask you the first question. It's the new year. It's the time of the year when a lot of young adults think about where they want to land a job in a few years' time. In your opinion, what type of jobs do you think will disappear in the very near future?
It's obvious, but jobs which don't make use of AI or can be easily replaced by it will definitely not exist in the future, as we are living in the era of AI. Not only this, I think a major from university is also an important factor. In my case, I'm majoring in geography as my interest has been in this field. However, I'm realizing mere interest doesn't really help me getting a job. As geography deals with very wide range of fields, the biggest weakness is that it's hard to develop specific expertise. And this major is not directly related to the fields that society requires nowadays, such as marketing or engineering. Considering this, I cannot say my major, geography, has bright future. And this is not just the case on my major, because my friends who are not majoring in those related to the job market, they are also struggling a lot.
Well, Chunyoung, has the AI revolution and possible job revolution changed your career path? How are you preparing personally?
Oh, yes, a lot. My dream was to work in geography field. However, as I told you before, I realized that putting my major to work is very difficult. So I decided to go along the current trend, the AI. I'm double majoring in business now. Though my interest is still in geography, I feel like I'm going in the right and realistic way. I'm enjoying my new major a lot too. Especially spatial statistics and coding learned from geography really helps to study new area. Based on that, I'm trying to do my best to learn how AI and big data could be utilized in business, especially finance. Also, I'm studying basic knowledge. I took related courses in my university, but as my undergraduate career finished, I also taking online courses. The more I learn, AI and big data, the more I discover how big its potential is and how powerful it is. Based on that, my new career goal is to work in business, especially finance and accounting fields.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying your new career path. It's not easy to make those kinds of changes, but good for you for making them for yourself. I have one last question for you. What type of jobs are you looking forward to seeing created following further AI development?
Again, future requires jobs that can't be replaced by AI. But still, I believe there are fields or positions that cannot be substituted by it. The AI can easily replace simple, repetitive work. No matter how it develops, a final decision-making is humans' role. Thus, the expert's role would be more important than now, and this cannot be replaced. In addition, emotional, sensitive area won't be influenced by AI development, or jobs like them can be developed. Also, jobs that utilize or coexist with AI will be increased, such as AI deep learning engineer. Whatever it is, I'm looking forward to the future along with the AI development.
It's a pleasure talking to a fellow college student in Gen Z, just hearing what you think about how the AI revolution could change up in the job market. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful experience talking to you today.
Thank you.
All right. And Chino mentioned this towards the end of his interview, but I think some things can't even be replaced even though AI is quickly developing. And what do you guys want to see that never changes even with the advent of AI technology? What type of jobs should remain here?
Right. I think jobs that involve human interaction as well as empathy should and will remain relevant even with the advancement of technology and AI. And they include jobs like therapists and counselors because they, of course, have that human touch to the jobs, and they will definitely remain and should remain.
What about you, Brooke? What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, as a creative type, I want to see artists and actors continue thriving. And the thing I think we should remember, which our guest mentioned, is that technology does not occur in nature. It's not something that just appears out of nowhere. Humans are behind it. We're the ones designing, creating, and operating it. So those experts are still going to be needed. So I think that technology can actually provide more employment opportunities, and we should just think of it as a tool that can enhance our effectiveness rather than a threat to our jobs.
Exactly. I think I want to mention two last words: supplement, not substitute.
Love it. Yep.
I think those are the two key words today. All right, and in the meantime, we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bring you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Chiji.
Thank you.
And Brooke Prince.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.